This is Carla Hinton reporting for the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com. I'm here in the studio with the Right Reverend Ed Konieczny, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Oklahoma. He was elected bishop in 2007. Bishop Ed, you recently made a big announcement. Can you share it with us here?
Sure, yes. I made the announcement that it's my intent to resign and to retire as the Bishop of Oklahoma on January 1st, 2021.
Okay, great. So the year 2021 is more than a little ways away. So can you explain why you chose that retirement or resignation date?
Sure. The polity of the Episcopal Church is that the election of a new bishop takes approximately 18 months.
Okay.
The local diocese has to create a nominating and search committee for candidates to fulfill that role. It takes a period of time to build a profile, to advertise that, receive names, to interview those folks, and then to go through the consent process once someone's elected. So by virtue of our polity, we're kind of forced into announcing those kinds of things a couple of years out from when we actually plan to do it.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about the process to select another bishop? What does that look like? Sure.
So now the first part is my announcement.
Okay.
And in working with the presiding bishop's office of the Episcopal Church, the Diocese of Oklahoma, through what's called our standing committee, which is the committee that is the ecclesial authority when there is no bishop in the church. They will form a nominating and a search committee, who will then create a profile of the diocese, basically a document or something that can be presented to others to kind of share who we are, where we've been, where we would like to go as the Episcopal Church in Oklahoma, and to encourage folks to submit their names as possible leaders. Those folks are then interviewed and vetted by the nominating committee, who then presents a slate of candidates to the standing committee, and once they review those, then those names are announced as potential nominees as what will be the 6th Bishop of Oklahoma. And then there's a period of time where we have what's called a petition process. More people may be familiar with nominations from the floor. We have a democratic process. So since anyone who's going to be nominated bishop is required to submit to background psychological and physical examinations prior, we can't just have a nomination from the floor. So they'll submit their documentation, and those persons will then be vetted. And once that process is completed, then a slate of candidates would be made public. Shortly after that, there is an opportunity for those persons to come into the state of Oklahoma and to travel throughout the state and allow members of our church, the delegates and deputies from our congregations who will actually be voting on the next bishop and the clergy, to ask them questions, to interact with them. And then shortly after that, we'll have what's called an electing convention. That'll take place at St. Paul's Cathedral here in downtown Oklahoma City. That date has not been set yet. And then following the election of that person, there's what we call a consent process. In our church, anyone elected to be the bishop must receive the consent of bishops of jurisdictions, a majority of bishops and jurisdictions from the 110 dioceses in our church, and from the standing committees of those 110 dioceses as well. So once those consents are received, then the person is ordained and consecrated the next bishop. We have set a date for the consecration, which is April the 18th, 2020. You may have guessed my last day is January 1, 2021, which allows for us to have a period of time of overlap between the new bishop and myself to allow us to work together to create a smooth transition in the diocese. So we are technically electing what's called a bishop coadjutor, and that bishop is a person who has the rights to succession following my resignation.
Okay, good. Well, tell me, and we may talk about this later at a later date, but can you talk a little bit about some of the accomplishments that you are most proud of as Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese?
Yeah. I think the diocese is in a great place. We're healthy spiritually. We're healthy in our engagement with the world around us. We're healthy financially. We have been one of the few dioceses in the Episcopal Church over the last few years that has seen growth and instead of decline. So we're excited about the work that we're doing here, and we've had some restarts of a couple congregations in places, and we've recently started a new Hispanic ministry up in Tulsa as part of our church, and we're looking at other opportunities to to engage not only the people of Oklahoma, but to grow the church here in the state of Oklahoma as well. So.
Okay. So one last thing, Bishop Ed, I just thought about this, but just because you won't be the Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Oklahoma, that doesn't mean you're not going to be working for or with the presiding bishop on a number of things.
Right. Once ordained and consecrated a bishop in the church, you're a bishop for life.
Right.
While I'll be resigning from the Episcopal Diocese of Oklahoma, I won't be involved in the day-to-day operations of a particular diocese, but the presiding bishop has asked me to stay on as the Episcopal representative to the Anglican Consultative Council, which is the governing body of the Anglican Communion throughout the world, and as representative from the Episcopal Church. And I'll continue doing my work with as the chair of the Brazilian Bilateral Committee in our relationship with the church in Brazil. And then I have some other relationships that I work with in Africa and in South America that I'll continue to participate in as well, and then be available for whatever the presiding bishop may ask me to do.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for coming in.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
It's great to be here.
Thank you. I was telling the bishop that I remember when he came, so this is interesting for me to be able to see this process and the new transition.
Yeah, it's been a great journey and one of the most blessed and rewarding times of my life.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for coming in.
Sure.
This is Carla Hinton reporting for the Oklahoman and NewsOK.com. For more information, read the Oklahoman.